So we got up this morning and Ellen had a missed call from the hospital on her phone.
And a message that said, call the cardiac surgery coordinator urgently.
We had our phones on silent because inside the hospital, you're not allowed to have your phones on loud. So now we're just waiting for a taxi to take us into the hospital.
They said that there was an opportunity for Max to have surgery today, but she wasn't sure if we'd missed it. So we're just trying to get there as quick as possible, but relying on public transport and taxis is ridiculous. So hopefully they hurry up. It's been like 15 minutes. Okay, great. We're on our way, so thank you. All right, thank you. Keep left.
So guys, today has been kind of hectic. So this morning Ellen had those missed calls and we rushed to the hospital, and what actually happened there was we missed the slot for the theatre. So they had a theatre free and they were happy to do Max's surgery today, but when they couldn't get in contact with us, they postponed that to tomorrow. If everything goes to plan, he'll have his surgery tomorrow at roughly about 8 a.m. I think we're more happy with that because today it gave us a bit of time to, for them to do some more scans and for us to be sort of a bit more like prepared mentally about what's going to happen.
It was all too rushed to think. We hadn't even met the surgeon for them to want us to have surgery, today. It would have been too much.
I think they would have went through all of that.
They would have, but at the same time, it's like, we've got time now to think about things. And
just the amount of tests they did today. They did a cranial ultrasound. They had a look at his kidneys and livers and all that sort of stuff with an echo. They did multiple blood tests, and they had a look at a heap of other things just to prep him for the surgery tomorrow. So most of the day was just us sitting by Max's bedside again. Just getting familiar with the hospital, with the staff. It's a lot different to what we've grown used to at the Adelaide Women's and Children's Hospital. They just do things just a little bit differently. But I think we're definitely uncomfortable.
I think, it's like we're visitors a little bit and we're out of our comfort zone, that's for sure. I think the nurses are always good, they're fine.
The staff are really lovely, they're really good with us. I think what I mean there is we'll probably just need a couple of days before we're familiar with everything and everyone and probably be a bit more comfortable.
And getting used to a new ward and things like that, new procedures, it's always a bit daunting.
What they've found out with the swab test that they did yesterday for Max, because when he came into the hospital, he had green secretions coming from his nose, and they did a swab test, and that came back today positive for RSV virus, which is the common cause for bronchiolitis. Although he's not presenting all the signs, like he doesn't have a fever, he doesn't have a cough or anything like that, he does have a lot of secretions in his nose. They're having to suck that up every 3 hours or so. Although that he does have that virus, the surgeon is still confident that they can go ahead with the surgery.
Because he doesn't have a fever or anything. He said generally that they would want to wait a few weeks until it's cleared, but we can't wait. He's not well enough to wait.
Yeah.
So.
Around 4 o'clock this afternoon, we met with our surgeon. He took us into another meeting room where they have conversations with parents all the time. That was quite a challenging conversation. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we spoke about, we've sort of been prepped and told a little bit about what's happening from our other cardiologists in Adelaide and here in Melbourne. I don't know, but when you sit down with a guy that's got to perform heart surgery on your little boy, that's just something else. I mean, he's talking about in-depth details about where and what incisions he's going to be doing, the process. The one thing that all the doctors, cardiologists always ask us is, right, so what have they told you? And they get us to tell them what we know about Max's condition. And that's so they can see how much we understand about it, and then they can go into more detail. And when we're sort of talking to our surgeon, we're explaining what we know. The way he's described the surgery, it's a 3-part surgery. So repairing the TGA, the transposition of the great arteries. So that's called arterial switch surgery. And that's pretty much just swapping the pulmonary artery and the aorta. Now, the difficult thing about that surgery in particular is coming off the aorta, you have the coronary arteries, and these are important because they supply oxygenated blood to the heart muscles, and they are just coming straight off the aorta close to the heart. So when you do the incision and you swap them, you've got to cut them as well and then change them.
And he said they're no bigger than 1.5 millimeters. He said at the most that'd be that. So
he did say if you've got to move them and stretch them, the hole gets significantly smaller the further you stretch it, because they are quite flexible, but
it thins them out.
Yeah, it becomes a much thinner artery, and they've got to take that into consideration. Also, they have to fix the double outlet right ventricle. So at the moment, the pulmonary artery is sitting just over the VSD, but it's committing to the right ventricle. So that means that it's getting more than 50% of its blood flow from the right ventricle. So he'll have to correct that. So the other part of the surgery is patching up the VSD and also the ASD. Now, the ASD is the hole in the top half of the heart between the two atriums, and that was tore open when they did the septostomy. When they were doing that procedure, the cardiologist in Adelaide said that's simple, they'll just put 2 stitches in and fix that up. But when we were talking to our cardiologist, he was saying that
he has to take patches from the heart sac to patch it. It's not just a matter of stitching. They actually use the heart sac tissue as a patch.
Yeah.
And that goes for the VSD as well as the ASD, and it'll be used for other parts of the corrective surgery with the switching.
Something that I asked because I wasn't too sure about, I was like, is this something that will just regenerate, or is the sac they just stretch it? And he said that Max will just have a hole in his sac and he'll be able to function fine with that hole.
Yeah, it won't regenerate. He said it just becomes deficient.
That conversation took about roughly about an hour, and our surgeon, he drew a lot of diagrams and he went into a lot of detail with what he was explaining to us. First, he started talking about Max's condition and what we understood about it. Then he spoke about the surgery and breaking it down into the 3 parts. Then he spoke about the risks in this type of surgery, what could go wrong. And then he spoke about the prolonged effects, what type of effects this condition could have on Max in the future.
He's like the first doctor to really kind of talk about how serious Max's condition is, like how he is now. Like he said he was unhappy that he had been brought a sick baby. Like, you know, he would have, this surgery, he wants to do it, you know, when Max was 8 weeks and he's healthy, but right now he's a sick baby and the only way to help him is to have this surgery. It's not fixing a defect now, it's literally saving his life, and you have to risk his life to save his life, and that's really a hard thing to deal with. But he was, yeah, I don't know, he was a good doctor.
He was a surgeon, so he was sympathetic, but he was very to the point. Made sure that we understood every bit of this surgery and knew the risks. He just had no time for bullshit. He made sure that we understood everything and how serious this was.
He said at one point, because I guess I was looking upset, and he said, I'm sorry, I just have to be honest, I can't do this without being completely honest, and you know, it's good, we want to know everything, even when it's hard.
But, you know, one thing that he did say is that, you know, they do these surgeries every day. He said the transposition surgery, that side of it, he said last year he did 55 of those. So, you know, we're talking like, you know, 1 a week, basically.
He said he just did one on Friday, like,
yeah.
So he, you know, he knows what he's doing, but he was saying about all the, you know, this could happen, and, you know, if this happens, I have to do this, and, but he was saying, but don't you worry about that, that's, I'm going to worry about that, you just be there for your family and be strong for each other. And
we didn't stay at the hospital too late. We came home and tried to get some rest because we know that tomorrow is going to be a difficult day. We're going to try and get into the hospital by about 7 a.m. because we want to spend a bit of time with Max before he has to go off to theatre, and they'll be taking him into theatre around 8.
We also have to meet with the anaesthesiologist and
yeah.
sign some trial consents. So that's one thing that's important to us with all this, is like there's trials, and obviously we assess each one we get told about, but if it's something that we think is safe for our baby, then we're more than happy to give it a try to help other kids in the future.
If they can find better and quicker ways to help kids recover from these types of surgeries, then, you know, we're more than happy to help out with any of the trials or researches that they're doing. That's the end of the vlog today. So if you're pregnant with twins, if you have twins, if you're parent of a heart kid, or you're just interested to see what we have going on, look out for the upcoming videos. Better yet, subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if you want to donate to Heart Kids, we'll have the link in the description below. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. You can do the hand thing.